Fast Eddie Allred once said that he wished he could set up an abortion clinic at the Mexican border to get rid of those pesky little Mexican babies in the womb before they were born and became a burden to Americans. And Patricia's parents think that this attitude might have played a role in their daughter's death. This is Christina with the Sisyphean Journal, and today is March 3rd. Now, the National Abortion Federation, and I talk about them a lot, they are considered the most reputable abortion providers. They are the gold standard of abortion. They brag themselves up left and right. The media treats them as if they can do no wrong, even when they do wrong. Kermit Gosnell, the Philadelphia quack, worked one day a week at a NAF clinic, and the media let NAF get away with referring to him as an outlier when the proper word is employee. So I have no love for the National Abortion Federation. Anybody who cares about women shouldn't have any love for them. 16-year-old girl named Patricia lost her life for trusting a member of the National Abortion Federation. She had no way of knowing as she climbed onto the abortion table at Avalon Hospital in California that this hospital had already performed a fatal abortion on a 24-year-old named Denise in December 1970. She had no way of knowing she was going to be the second in a string of over a dozen dead abortion patients. Now, Patricia was 24 weeks pregnant, and it was either Edward Allred, who founded the Family Planning Associates medical group chain, and some of his fans say he did for abortion what Ray Kroc did for hamburgers. Either Allred himself performed the abortion or Dr. Leslie Orleans performed it the morning of March 3rd, 1984. Now, the note said it took 5 hours to complete the abortion. I don't think they were working on her for 5 hours straight. I think they were going back and forth, doing this and that, seeing how she did. Still not working. So she had retained fetal tissues, and they scheduled a second procedure to complete the abortion. Now, there's conflicting stories about what happened next. Allred said that Patricia died from an embolism, which is when something that's not supposed to be in your bloodstream gets there. An embolism during the second surgery. He pronounced her dead at 4:30 p.m. But Patricia's parents say that she bled to death while she was left unattended, which would not be unusual in a safe legal abortion. Women get pushed out the door to bleed to death, bleed to death unattended. This happens. The autopsy found numerous catgut sutures in her vagina and some hemorrhage in her uterus, and the death was attributed to disseminated intravascular coagulopathy, DIC, which is a clotting disorder due to amniotic fluid getting into her bloodstream. So Allred was correct in that this was an embolism. However, one of the things that DIC does is cause massive hemorrhage. So I think Patricia's parents were also correct in saying that she bled to death. And they sued. So Avalon was part of Allred's Family Planning Associates medical group, which is like the flagship of the National Abortion Federation. And I'm just going to go through. I talked about how Denise died at one of these facilities in 1970 and other deaths that I know about. And I found out about several of these recently, so I don't pretend I know about all of them. But a 43-year-old woman named Mary died in 1984. Allred managed to slip her through the morgue without an autopsy, but she was from Orange County, and when her death certificate was sent to Orange County, the clerk refused to say that a 43-year-old woman would bleed to death from natural causes. Said something had to have happened. So this was after her family had buried her. They dug her back up and found out she died from a botched abortion. In 1985, a 37-year-old woman named Josephina died. In 1986, a 17-year-old girl named Lenice. In 1988, two deaths, 32-year-old Joyce and 19-year-old Tammy. In 1992, and these are cases that stick out at me, 30-year-old Susan was homeless, living in her friend's car, and she was found dead in the car after an abortion at FPA. And Deanna, 13-year-old Deanna, also in 1992, they massively overdosed her on Brevital in one of the Chicago clinics, facilities owned by FPA. And according to their own records, pretty much just stood around with their thumbs up their asses while she died. She was just massively, massively overdosed. And they sent a thank you letter to the referring hospital, uneventful DNC. So 13-year-old girl's dead. It's uneventful. Let's see. Deanna. In 1994, an 18-year-old named Christine. In 1995, a 24-year-old named Patricia. In 1998, I don't know how old Nakia was. She died. 1999, a woman named Maria. I don't know how old she was. In 2000, a woman named Kimberly. Again in 2000, a 22-year-old named Maria, and a woman named Chanel, age 22, in 2004. So these are the deaths I know about at this flagship, and they got lawsuits up the wazoo, these people. I wouldn't trust them with a houseplant.